Good morning everyone, it's Marie from Marie's Unique Gifts. This morning I'm going to be pouring one of my Apothecary candles for you. I'm just test driving my new stand for my camera on my phone. I will also be pouring out a clamshell mould of my new candle. Well, not new candle scent as such, but revisiting musk, and also will be doing them in large star molds as well for custom order. And I will also be doing cotton candy, or more commonly known here in Australia as fairy floss. So without further ado, I'm about to pour this here. It's looking a little bit on the red side of things, so what I might do is, this is my actual 100% Australian soy wax melted down with some soy wax dye chip in it. It will be for my mask, so I'm going to pop some more of my soy wax into there, just to lighten it up a little bit more, because it's going to be coming out just a tad too dark, because I don't know about you, but childhood memories remind me that fairy floss, or those of you in the northern regions call it cotton candy, is very light pink in colour, or a very light blue. This customer, she actually prefers to have it in like an electric pink colour for her cotton candy or her berry floss. So we're going to try and keep this one a lighter colour, because I'm currently expecting an order to come in with the electric pink in it. So I'm just going to melt this down a little bit more. I always use glass beakers, measure it out into these using my scales. I like to have my measurements at an equal capacity, so when I'm working out my ratios for my fragrance oils, they're actually going to be how they're how I actually wanting them for each one. So I'm just going to pop this in microwave. Yes, I use a microwave to do my melting of my soy wax, and I also do use bench top, but just for today, for argument's sake, to do this a little bit quicker, I'm just using the microwave. Okay, so you can see here that the matte wax is nearly melted down. I also make sure that my temperatures do not go over or be under the actual melt point. I don't use an infrared, I just use a basic roast. This is my one that I had bought a long time ago. It's actually for meats, but I can still use it in here in my waxes to give me just a little bit of soy wax down there. So you can see that the actual temperature there is around 55.2 degrees Celsius at the moment. This wax, being 100% pure Australian soy wax, it's very temperamental, so you cannot go above a set degrees or below a set degrees. The melt point and the pour point are at different ratios, like any other wax melt. Sorry, you can see in the bottom there, there's oops, where are we? Here we go. There's a little bit of fogging down the bottom. That's just from some of the soy wax that hasn't actually melted completely. So I'm just going to give this a bit of a stir, and then I'll come back and we'll pour this Apothecary candle. Okay. You have to excuse my voice today. I've actually got a really bad head cold happening. It's not the nicest of things, but I'm wanting to show you this. So there, I've just stirred it up. As you can see that there's the soy wax is now completely melted in there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to, well, before we actually pour that, we need to add the fragrance. So this one is going to be cotton candy, or commonly known on your, well, I should say our end of the world, here and down under, we call this fairy floss. So I'm just using a pipette, and I'm just putting in 7% ratio to the amount of wax that I have melted in here. And just a little bit more. It's best to use pipette with measurements on it, or if you have a measuring cup, or if you know that the actual quantity you can use of a glass pipette, you can use a glass pipette as well, just so you get your ratios correct. So when you re-pour in again and you have the same customer reorder, or you're wanting the scent at that same ratio, at that same scent throw, I should say, not the ratio. The ratios are kept even, and therefore the scent will stay at the same cold and hot throw scent that you first created. Alright, so I've done that. Now I'm just going to give this a little stir. I'm just going to bring it back here. Give it a little tiny stir just to make sure that that is evenly distributed through, I should say, the actual wax. Okay, so the pouring temperature shouldn't be below 65. So I'm just going to start slowly pouring this in so you can see. With the Apothecary jar candles, the jar candle containers that I use, I don't pour them completely to the top. This reason being that obviously, as you can see here with the lid, you have to have X amount of room between the top of the jar and where the base of the actual lid will come to. So once that sets a bit, I'll be able to show you. And when you're pouring it, just give it a little bit more. Don't overfill it to the mark where you're going to actually pour it. Reason being is when the wax cools and starts to set, it can form like a divot down in the middle down here near the wick. Then you can top it up, or you might have an air bubble or whatnot. So just make sure that you keep a little bit. We've got more than a little bit here. I'm actually going to pour now the clam shell with the remainder of this and have a little bit left over for the actual candle. So I'm just going to pop this Apothecary jar out of the way, and this is the clam shell that I'm going to pour. This is 6 cavity. I've noticed out there that's bigger cavity clam shells. I prefer this one. It's just my own personal choices. If customers would like to have a clamshell that has more cavities in it, I'm more than willing to order them in specifically for a custom order. Now, I've done that, not that you can see that well in this video, but I've just chopped it up just a little tiny bit higher. It's like a micromillimeter. If I pour it any higher, it's actually going to turn around and spill over the edges. So that's my berry floss, cotton candy as others will know it by, Clam shell, and Apothecary candle that I've poured. I hope you have a great day and stay tuned for my next video. Don't forget to subscribe down the bottom, and if you'd like to make any orders, please visit my website of www.mariesuniquegifts.com, and I'll have something else in store for you all in the next video. Stay tuned.